I wanted to just take a few minutes of your time since I know when this movie came out in theaters, a few people were asking if we were planning on seeing it, and some people in the chat were curious and nudging us to see it. So I did get around to seeing the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie, One Battle After Another, because it just came out on streaming, so it's available to like buy on streaming. And I never pay a lot of money for movies that are streaming unless it's a movie that I would have gone to see in a theater anyway. Like I'll spend 20 bucks on it if I would have spent 20 bucks at the movie theater anyway. That's kind of my rule. And so because we had a few days off where I didn't have to stay up all night prepping segments, my wife and I watched this, and I have to say I absolutely loved it. Like this was a brilliant, brilliant movie. Probably the best thing I've seen on a screen since The Haunting of Hill House. Like that to me was movies and TV combined, which you can kind of do
Mhm.
now since a lot of the talent from cinema has shifted to TV and kind of vice versa. Um, this is the best thing I've seen since then. It was that good. And I know the people involved are a little cringe. You got Johnny Greenwood, who did the music, who's got the Israeli wife, who, considers himself a liberal Zionist type, peacemaker,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah,
Right.
Radiohead, that whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And then you have Paul Thomas Anderson, who's not really outspoken on the issue, but he's Zionist tolerant at least. That girl,
hmm
I forget her name, who's the Israeli woman. She was in Licorice Pizza. She has a small role in this. He works with her, and then obviously Leo with his hotel. So yeah, I mean, look,
hmm
the
Yeah.
talent involved in this is cringe. But I thought, and I do think that this is going to be a big conversation piece come Oscar season. I think it will do extremely well, and it's an amazing movie. So the plot is, an ex-revolutionary, a failed revolutionary, is sort of laying low off the grid with his teenage daughter, and for evil reasons that I won't get into now for time purposes, the feds come after the daughter, and so
Mm.
what's left of the sort of revolutionary movement kind of finds out that this is happening. They intercept the daughter just before the government can get to her, and they take her to like a safe house type place. But the feds are, of course, hot on her trail. And so the protagonist, the sort of stoned out, burnt out ex revolutionary, the Leo DiCaprio character, has to basically get to the daughter before the feds, led by the main villain, Sean Penn, can get to her. So it's basically a chase movie.
All
And
right. All right. So maybe you can explain something to me because this is what I haven't really understood about the movie's context.
yeah,
I we did there's been no there was like no revolutionary movement in the 90s. Like that's where you would place Leonardo DiCaprio's character based on what I understand of the movie as being like
well,
his prime. So what are they talking about?
it's kind of in its
Is it
own
just kind of
world.
being fanciful, like it's its own
It's
world?
kind of its own world. So, like at the beginning, the revolutionary act that sort of sets the prologue in motion is they're basically busting into a border patrol immigrant detention center. So it could take place like right now, and then
hmm
15 years later, it could be 15 years from
Right,
now, which is still relatively the same as now, more or
right,
less.
right.
So it doesn't really
That's what
like
you think.
it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't really ground itself in a
Okay, all right.
specific era.
That's
Um,
what I assumed.
yeah, it's more or
Because
less modern day.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
more or less. Like you
It's
could
like an
assume,
it's
okay,
like
it
an
started in
alternate
2010.
universe where 60s style radicalism happened in the 90s.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And it's Thomas Pynchon, so there are kind of surrealist elements and there are absurdist elements. It's really a screwball comedy. It's a screwball comedy chase caper movie, but it is incredibly well done, and I think it handles the politics of revolution very well. Like it's not dismissive of the revolutionaries. It definitely sympathizes with them to an extent. It certainly paints the system as worth overthrowing, but at the same time, the revolutionaries themselves are clumsy, undisciplined, unserious, self-obsessed, and kind of clownish and irresponsible and ridiculous. And that's exactly how I feel about the left. Like I'm on the left. I sympathize with a lot of the left's goals, but if we're being honest about ourselves, the left can be kind of ridiculous. And it paints itself that way. And you would love it because Leo is trying to get the operator because there's like a revolutionary hotline and he calls it up. He's trying to get the operator to give him the rendezvous point so we can get to his daughter. but because his mind is baked and has been so long, he forgets all of the passwords that he's supposed to remember so that they know he's not an informant or a fed trying to get to the safe house. And so the guy on the other end of the line is like a caricature of this DSA type. He's like, if you can't tell me the time, I can't give you the location. He's like, come on, I'm trying to get to my daughter. It's been so long. I'm high. I've been abusing my mind with drugs and alcohol. Please just give it to me. I'm sorry, sir. I can't do it. And he gets frustrated, keeps calling back, and he says, if I ever find you, I'm going to fuck you up. You don't know who you're fucking with. And he says, okay, now you're violating my safety. You know, now you're violating my safety and you're invading my space. He's invading your space. We're talking on the phone. What the fuck are you talking about? So I think the politics of it are smart. It neither glorifies nor mocks the revolutionaries or the revolution. Technique-wise, it's absolutely extraordinary. I mean, the cinematography is gorgeous. The editing, the acting, the screenwriting, the music. I got to, even though Johnny Greenwood's a piece of shit, I have to give it to him. Like, it all comes together so phenomenally well. And the fact that the plot is simple enough to follow really makes it enjoyable, because the problem with P.T. Anderson's previous Pynchon adaptation, Inherent Vice, is that it was so faithful to the text, and the text is so bonkers that you kind of get lost in the flourishes and the artistic touches, right? Here, like, the plot is simple.
But they say that is the film that launched 1,000 Spankies.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah. The plot here is simple enough to the point where all of the sort of artistic touches and flourishes and quirks can really be enjoyed, because you never actually lose the structure or the momentum of the actual story. Like, you're able to follow the story, and then everything that kind of gets thrown in alongside it is just really enjoyable, because you feel like you're in good hands. You never lose the narrative. And so it's brilliant. And as someone who, Russ knows I'm a stickler for time. The worst thing a movie could be is too long. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes. I did not check my phone once. I did not check the time once. It flows by so well. There's an amazing car chase toward the end, where the cars are going through these rolling hills and they're bobbing up and down and in and out of the frame, and you're keeping track of one and the other. And then these great motion shots of cars flying off the road. Like, it's brilliant. It's an absolutely brilliant piece of art. And I know it bombed at the box. Part of why it bombed is because they spent too much money on it. Like, you can't pay these actors this much anymore. A 3-hour art film is not going to make $200 million, just no matter what. But it didn't,
like back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it didn't make no money. It just didn't make enough to recoup expenses, because they probably paid Leo, God knows how many millions, right? But it'll have another shot. I think it's going to win a lot of awards, and so it'll get another run. It'll do well on streaming. But yeah, should definitely see it. It's super relevant to, like, the stuff we talk about on the show here. Full endorsement.
Please clap.